Doesn't matter how good you are at your job.
What things were scaring you at that time?
So many areas, a lot, you just don't have that control. It's not like I already knew. I didn't even have the idea at all. Everyone has a skill, but not everyone will do that. There are a lot of ups and downs. You take that imperfect action and then things will start to unfold. Clarity doesn't stay on the paper. It only comes through you taking actions.
Hey, Cindy, welcome to our show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Now, for our listeners, would you mind telling us what you do in a full-time realm? And also, what is your side hustle?
Absolutely. So by, I suppose, my formal education, my daytime job is I'm a senior financial advisor, and I've been in the financial services or financial advice industry for actually just under 20 years now. And my side hustle, I started my side hustle about 5 years ago. I started as a fitness and nutrition mindset coach. But 12 months ago, I pivoted that business into a side hustle business coach because I basically want to show the corporate woman do what I do. Right now, my side hustle is to help corporate professionals, especially mid-career corporate women, to monetize their existing skills, expertise, experience, or even personal transformation into a side online coaching business while they can still stay high performance with their corporate job. So that's my current side hustle. In saying that, right now I'm kind of, you can say, a career break from my corporate job right now because I wrapped up my nearly 20 years corporate career about 3 weeks ago, and at that time I did actually think about of going all in my business. In fact, the last three weeks I actually kind of took a break from both my career as well as my business. In a way, I just wanted to actually kind of reconcile and to think about what I actually want to do with my corporate career as well as my side business, and whether I actually want to turn my side business into a full-time business. And I think kind of went back and forth a bit and arguing with myself a lot for the last few weeks. And I think right now I feel like I quite enjoying you can say running the side business just as a side hustle for now, because I think not many people start a side hustle with a goal to replace their corporate job straight away. And sometimes it takes some journey, it takes some process to get there. And also some people like myself wise, I still think that I have a lot to give from on my corporate job side, if that makes sense, because that's a profession I also worked very hard to build to be where I am today. And not saying that I don't want to let go, it's just basically I still have a lot to give, not only from the as a profession, and also I suppose to kind of help the younger generation of the financial advisors. So that's still something I do enjoy doing. That's why I think I highly likely still going to have my side hustle as a side hustle at this stage.
But at what stage did you think of having a side hustle to begin with?
So 2018, that's the time when I took the redundancy for the first time, when I was working for Macquarie Bank.
Right.
So if anyone, I guess, if any of your listener is on LinkedIn, they can quite easily find me on LinkedIn to kind of have a bit read through that story, because I did post it on LinkedIn previously. So it was just it's like a wake up call, because redundancy is not uncommon, I guess. However, how that redundancy happened to me was a shock, in a way where there was no sign, and there was no red flag at all beforehand. And then once we accept the redundancy, basically they said to me that I cannot go back to the floor. I cannot go back to my desk. So literally I walked out of the building with my phone and my wallet in my hands. I didn't even have my handbag with me. But even though, like, in the afternoon, I got, my phone just didn't stop ringing, because I got all these recruiters start to chasing me, to for the job offers and ask me if I want to, have a chat, blah blah blah. But I guess that's, even not long after, only a few weeks after, I just started working in another big organization, another reputable one, and got paid a higher, better position, etc. But the fact that despite you are a high performer, despite, doesn't matter how good at you are, at your job, you just don't have that control. I think that is kind of the big moment, the big aha moment for me, to realize that it's like I want something of my own, so that, I can actually build at my own pace, and I can basically on my terms.
I love that. I love that, Cindy. And I'm, yeah, sorry to hear about that experience as well. But you obviously channeled it in the right way and made it work for
Yeah,
yourself, which is the biggest lesson, I think, out of that.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it is such a gut wrenching lesson, isn't it? That
Mm,
anybody is replaceable. We all try our
abs-
best to do a great job when we are at work, and we are like, we want to achieve this, we want to achieve that, and then next thing you know,
yeah,
companies
yeah.
can make decisions at any point, and it can affect us at any point. Like no one is, how they say, everybody is replaceable. No one is irreplaceable, if I'm saying that correctly. You obviously decided to build something of your own, like you said. Now,
Mhm.
were there any mindset shifts that you needed going from corporate to then jumping into starting your own business? And what things were scaring you at that time?
A lot. I see. It's like, where do I even start? um, I think the number one mindset, if I, just to pick one, I would say is really try to shift the mindset from an employee, from being an employee to an entrepreneur and a business owner. Because as an employee, we basically are conditioned to follow the instructions, and usually we will have a process already available to us by the company, and we basically help them to achieve their goals and slash our own career goal, etc. But there are very kind of very mature, or well, most of time there will be already a mature and established system in place and structure in place, or even process in place. Whilst when I moved to my startup business, even if it was like a baby, very small, but
Mm.
so many areas, basically, not only I'm the owner, I'm also the marketer, I'm the coach, I'm the writer, I'm doing all my videos as well, I'm doing my own podcast as well. It's just so many, and each each of these component plays a role in the business. And I guess especially as a startup hustler, it's really kind of I was struggling at the beginning, because we try to do all these parts, but then you only have very limited time, because you still need to perform well in your 9 to 5 job, in your corporate job. Yeah, so I think the biggest mindset is really try to think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to say, like, instead of having a process, what a process that I can design for my business that allow me to move the needle, that not burning out, because that's not the goal, to have a side hustle. Yeah, no, and also not impacting my performance at my corporate job, as well as my family, because I still have two young kids, two young girls. Yeah, so I think the mindset shift of taking the ownership as an entrepreneur, you got to take the ownership and really be responsible for your own action, and then know that each action you take in your business, it should lead to, or towards the goal you want to achieve. It's not just doing everything.
Did you take some time, or did you started hunting for a role straight away once you were made redundant to build your business? Or was it like, okay, maybe let me focus on building the coaching and then I'm going to step into full time again?
I wasn't thinking even like that back then, because to be very kind of like, when the first time redundancy happened, it's like the plant little seed in my head to say, I know that I want another path as well, even though I never even thought about not work in corporate at that time, but I also know that I don't just want to work in corporate, if that makes sense. So
Mm.
it's like that first redundancy just plunged to a seat, but I didn't know what I want to do. It's not like I already knew, I want to do this thing as a, on the side, as a business. I didn't even have the idea at all. So it took nearly 2 years for me to find my first side hustle, which was the fitness coaching, fitness and nutrition coaching. Yeah, so it wasn't like just a straight away. So it was a process because, yeah, as I said earlier, at that time, I just wanted an option. I just don't want to be in the position if something like that, or maybe like, I guess, because I was kind of nearly 10 years into my career at that time. And I also feel like I'm very good at what I was doing in my 9 to 5 job. But I also have other hobbies, or what can I explore and turn that into a business?
If you had to give top three tips, for instance, for people who have been, or are in situation that you have been in the past, what would you say to them to take away from shifting that mindset from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, like you beautifully said before? What are the top three things that you would say to them that doesn't overwhelm them either? Because it is a big step.
Yeah, I think number one, I would say, anyone can start a startup business, but not everyone will. Like everyone has the skills, it doesn't, like everything they have experienced as a person, either personal experience or personal transformation, or whatever the skills they have learned through education or work experience. Everyone has a skill can be monetized, but not everyone will do that. The reason being, I think that's probably the number one tip. Number one is that you really need to understand your why, as in why you want to start your startup business in the first place. This is not a journey that, going to be flowers, or, or sunshines all the time, because it's a lot of ups and downs. And if any of your listener kind of into this entrepreneurship kind of a podcast or books, etc., I'm sure they've heard a lot. There are a lot of ups and downs, and for people who are able to keep going, I truly believe that they have a very strong why, that a lot more important than all those kind of hurdles they come across. Number one, I don't want to feel like, my career is in other people's hands again.
Hmm.
And by doing that, build something of my own. It's almost like I build that option if and when I need it, I can take that option. So I call that as a plan B. But I also like to say, your plan B, you can build your plan B strong enough so that one day that can become your plan A when and if you need it. So and I guess that was my biggest why when I first started. And throughout my kind of side hustle journey, that especially the last, I think, couple of years, I do realize that maybe autonomy is my other reason, that I, especially with the two young kids, know that, when you have the flexibility to be able to work around your business, around your job, whatever that might be, that you are able to give your kids, your family, the support that you may not be able to get that from your 9 to 5 job. So that's potentially the other reason that for me, that's basically my why. And the second thing I can say is that I think once you are clear on your why, you just really need to take that imperfect first step. Basically, your first business idea, your first niche is always not going to be perfect. But if you just think of waiting for kind of ducks, line up in a row, or you're trying to wait for everything to become perfect, you will never take that first step. And when you don't take that first step, you're not going to kind of test out whether your idea is going to be profitable. You're not going to be able to understand whether business is going to be something you actually enjoy doing or not. So it's almost like you take that imperfect action, and then things will start to unfold. It's like I always say, clarity doesn't stay on the paper. It does. It only comes through you taking actions, and the more
Mm.
action you take, the clearer you're going to understand this is what I want to do, and this is something can be monetized or profitable, or something actually or someone actually need it. Number three, I would say probably at this stage, many people will be feared of being judged. You cannot attach your own value and what you actually want to do for your life, for your career, for your future business, etc., based on other people's opinions. Simple as that. And the other thing is that people are actually, you know, probably not think of you as important as you do think of yourself. This sounds a little bit, kind of a harsh, but the fact is people are too care about themselves, or worry about themselves, and they probably not going to be kind of, care about whatever you do as much as you do. That's why I think just really take the first step and give a try. You might try it for 6 months, you might decide actually this is not for me, but at least this is not for you. Instead of just sitting there and wondering and lingering and you still not doing anything.
I was talking to a friend of mine, this is years ago, and we were talking about, at that time I was wanting to pursue law as in my bachelor degree after my accounting. And she goes, look, her mentor told her something which is very similar lines on what you said. And that
Okay,
is, time will keep going. Time is going to keep moving on. So we may as well do something with it. And
100%.
that way you know what you like. If you are only comfortable to share this info, by the way, are you making money off your side hustle at the moment, or you are still scaling it up?
I'm not really scaling up at the moment. I am just making my normal money, as in, because
Okay.
my fitness coaching business, I made about, I think, 70K over that time, because I deliberately keep under that because I didn't want to register for GST at that time.
Yeah.
And for my company, yeah, you're accountant, you know that. So basically, that was, and also like, to be very frank, that if I want to make more money, I need to work a lot more as well. And my corporate job was full on, and my two girls, I was running around a lot with them as well. For me, I only have that, average 10 hours a week, and unless I start to scale, otherwise I was quite comfortable just staying at that level. And that's pretty much, where kind of that's why I keep saying that you got to make the 5K per month. The 5K per month as a side hustle, to me, some people might think, oh, that's really not a lot of money. But to me, because I'm teaching people at the startup stage,
Mm.
I'm not teaching you to scale up. I'm teaching you to start. And when you start as a side hustler, when you have a full-time job, that is kind of a sweet spot in the way where it does bring in quite kind of not big, but quite okay kind of level of income, as well as that's also a point I call that
Mm.
as proof of concept. Before you scale, you need to know whether this small kind of income type of business is going to work for you or not, in terms of the profitability, in terms of the market demand. That's why I think the 5K per month, I personally think, is working well for somebody who still want to stay in the corporate role. But of course, if someone want to scale, the strategy will be very different.
If somebody wants to start that side hustle, what would you tell them to focus on initially? Say that they have taken the step, and they have started it, and they're like, all right, I'm very excited. I'm going to go do this. But then I feel like there are myriad of things to sort of worry about. It's the financing, it's the cash flow, it's the marketing. What would you say that the focus should be?
I think the first thing is to work out whether what you are saying, whether what you are selling, whether it's a product or service, is something that other people are willing to pay for, as well as can solve other people's problem. Because I often say to my clients that when we first start up, we really need to focus on just one thing, because I call that as you got to simplify what you sell, and simplify your offer, and simplify your messaging, and as well as the way you are generating leads as well. You got to go out to talk to real people, because just, and also you shouldn't have your product fully kind of established before you talk to other people. That's why, for how I think the most effective way to start is that if you have an idea, and this idea, basically, you need to understand this idea. You should be able to solve one specific problem for one specific group of people. So once you got that clear, you will know that whether your service has that kind of possibility to be profitable. And then you start to test out your short sessions, people get results, and that's how you start to get your testimonials to establish the authority at the beginning stage. So if there's anything at all at the startup page, you really, instead of focusing on all different areas, you really should just pick one.
So you're saying your niche should not be as defined, and that's totally okay, but you've got to know your target audience still.
I would say it's not that your niche doesn't have to be defined. And I would say you need to know what the problem you solve and what transformation you actually provide for that one specific audience.
But I was thinking that what you said before also ties back to your point that you made earlier, which was the why. Why are we starting the business in the first place, and what problem are we trying to solve? Both of them are really critical questions, I think, as well.
I've spoken to a lot of people in corporate. Sometimes when they are not getting clarity, it's not because they don't know what they want to do. It's quite opposite. They have so many ideas and they think they can do this, they can do that. I think that's also one of the reasons why many people don't even start, because they feel like they're just sitting on all these ideas and then time just goes by. I think that's what I have seen that kind of stop many people from even getting started.
How did you initially manage your time when you were obviously looking for a role and then you had this idea of starting your coaching business? How did you manage your time? I mean, I'm talking from in terms of partnership with your husband and also looking after your two girls. Was that a difficult period, and how did you manage it?
I wouldn't call that as a difficult period, because I'm quite lucky that my husband is very hands-on. And so he's a very hands-on husband, hands-on husband and dad. I would say he's 100% supportive of my startup business, whether it was making money previously or making small amount of money. But he knew that this is something I want to do, and he's always very supportive. And for example, now I'm having this podcast interview with you. I basically, I put a dinner on. I just told him, just watch the pod and this and that, and I'm just sitting here with you so we can have a proper chat. Yes, it's pretty much the very similar thing with how we manage our time and our kids. So, and we basically don't have any other kind of family help at all, just him and I. And he's also working full-time in a very demanding IT company as well. If you are in a partnership, you got to be on the same page in terms of, because yes, you are the one who's starting and growing the business, but your partner is also part of this journey with you as well. Especially as a woman, I guess, sometimes we feel like we want to do it all, especially in the household. Even if we are working full-time, we still want to do it all. And I think it is really okay just to ask for help. And I think that's also something I feel like many people I came across, they kind of feel not very comfortable for asking for help. But the thing is, you have to ask for help. Otherwise, you're just going to, become resentful, about certain things, which we don't want that to be. And apart from that, other ways when it comes to managing time, you need to be very clear what your weekly goal is for your business. And every day, you need to know top 3 actions you want to get that done, which is non-negotiable, depending on your weekly goal. I would say getting clients is probably one of the top priorities. So in order to get a client, what you need to focus on. So I take that as an example. Be clear on what your goals are. If your weekly goal is to get XYZ amount of clients, and you need to know what activities you need to do in order to work towards that goal. Every day you need to have your non-negotiables, might be 1 or might be 3 things you want to get done. And then it comes to how do you find the time, instead of just to try to get everything in, do an audit with your own daily schedule. And then when you plug in that 1 hour, maybe it's I don't know, 8 to 9 o'clock at night, or maybe it's like 1 hour before you go to work. It does require some discipline, because sometimes there are distractions. sometimes, when you work all day, we all experience that. We're just so tired. We just don't want to do anything. And that is all normal. But again, it's back to what you actually want. If you truly want that something, you wouldn't make time for it. It's just so simple.
Tell me this, was there ever a period of frustration for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of yes and no, because if what I have set up the strategy wise for the week didn't work, usually by, let's say, Saturday or Sunday, I would do a bit of reflection as well. It only takes like 5 minutes. It sounds like a big process, but it's not. It's just to sit down and yeah, just a bit deep, do a bit of reflection to say, actually, did I achieve everything I want to do this week? Because it'll be silly if you're trying to do the same thing over and over again and it wasn't successful, right? And I'll just adjust for the next week. And that's why I think, as a side hustler or as a mom, potentially, that because the time, sometimes you can plan the best you can, but there's always unexpected things happen. That's why I would think, when you plan out your schedule, work for your business, don't make that schedule too tight. Leave either Saturday or Sunday as like your catch up. Just say if there's anything throughout the week you couldn't get that done, and you probably can put them, have a 2 or 3 hours time block on the weekend to get them finished. So that's probably the other tip that I find is quite helpful. And then, of course, by the end of the week, you reflect to say what's working, what's not. If it's not, what can I adjust for the next week?
Do you find, or do you think it's right to have this mindset that when we are building a business, we can break our boundaries or not set proper boundaries in terms of how much time we are giving?
When we start a business, there are a lot of times we are testing things, right? And the last thing we want is that before you're even able to say whether your business is going to be successful or not, you already burn out. I mean, like, or you become like resentful to what you're trying to build there. So that's just so unnecessary. Boundaries is like, when you start to set boundaries at the beginning, that also become a habit, which is like a healthy habit, because you will know that everything else you do in your business, you're also setting the boundaries as well. When starting or growing a business, there are so many things you want to do. There are so many things you can do, actually. Your energy, your focus, you probably do like one project at a time. So I personally find that actually works better than you try to do 5 or 10 projects all together at the same time. And again, like everything, like boundaries reflect in different things and how you do things. But once you have the boundaries, not only you are able to kind of prevent yourself from burning out, it also can help you stay focused to get what you want to complete and then move on to the next. The other thing I would say, the boundaries is kind of is a necessity, is that if somebody is running a side business with a corporate job, and the boundaries is going to be even more important, because you also
Mm,
don't want to kind
have
of
them
blend the both
overlapping.
sides.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, because I often say that I truly believe that you can do well in both sides, because you
Mm,
can stay high performance in your corporate role, as well as have a nice little business on the side and run that as a
mm.
side hustle. If you just want to keep it that way, but you are a business owner in this side, but you also have the responsibility as an employee to your corporate job.
I don't want to let you go, but we are coming sort of close to the end of the time. You have
Yeah,
been amazing, amazing, amazing tips. Um,
thank
where
you.
could our listeners find you if they would like coaching, if they want to connect with you? Where could they find you?
Absolutely. So I am very active on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, just search me Cindy Excell with a double L. Not just spreadsheet, is double L. Yeah, and then yeah, just connect with me on LinkedIn or message me. I'm always replying to the messages. Yeah, so that's and also I have a podcast myself as well. It's called it used to called Hustle with Heels. Now it's called the Career Integrated Entrepreneur Podcast. So that's the two places you can find me.
Cindy, sadly to say that this podcast has come to an end, and like I said before, like I don't want to let you go, but I understand you've got family to look after too. So thank you again for
Thank
again
you.
for being part of our show.
My pleasure. It's really, really lovely talking to you too, Sam.